Hello and welcome to Ask MotorInc. It's my joy and privilege to be answering questions that the MotorInc fam has asked at motorinc.com or on the MotorInc app. That's where you can head if you want to ask any questions, have any doubts cleared, and the MotorInc fam is sure to help you out, or else we'll be stepping in. And now, our first question is from Rehan19, and he has a very simple question. It says, if you have a car that's 10 years old and has done 1,00,000 of kilometers but is running fine, should you sell it because it's that old and because it's run that much? Absolutely not. I definitely do not recommend it. Because today, if a car that's working well, is running for you, is doing what you expect from it, hold on to it. Because when you sell that car and look for a replacement for it of the same size, of the same abilities, you're going to end up spending a lot more. So why would you want to do it at this juncture where we are going through the biggest, let's say, hodgepodge situation when it comes to fuel choices, when it comes to resale values, when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to longevity? Why would you want to do that? So because of that one factor, 100% do not do so right now. The resale value of your car is not going to change dramatically when you sell it a few years later. So hold on to it. Enjoy it, make the most of it. And when things kind of settle down and clear up, that's when you can sell it and then pick something else with confidence that you will enjoy it as much as you did this. That's important. Now, the other reason to not sell that vehicle just because it's old or because it's run that many kilometers is because that age in terms of years or in terms of kilometers means nothing if the vehicle has been well cared for. Which means regular maintenance, taking care of the things that need to be taken care of, in which case that machine is practically young. And we in India think of 1,00,000 kilometers as a lot, but in the same breath, you also know of Innovas that have done 2-3 lakh kilometers and continue to feel absolutely ageless. If you've done that for your car, good on you. Please continue to enjoy it. Don't throw away your money. Don't throw away your car. It's been a part of your life for so many years now. Enjoy it for a few more. That's a small question, but it is a very good and deep question and something that should help many other people decide about what to do with cars that they have. Our next question is from Mithun Hegde. He's talking about his Celerio, which is a 2018 car. He's on his third set of tires now. His first two sets of tires were from MRF, and this is the Apollo Mesa. And what he's saying is that he's feeling a difference in the way the car drives. He's saying at city speeds, it feels all right. But when he's out on the highway at higher speeds, he feels that the car doesn't feel as settled. It doesn't feel as controlled. He feels, well, basically he's not feeling confident in it. And he's thinking, could it be the tires? No, 100% not. It's not going to be the tires. It's something else in the fitment of those tires that has somewhere gone wrong. Either the tires are not seated properly on the rims, or the alignment is off, or the pressures are off. The tires may very well be overinflated, and that's why you're getting that sense of it being sway or skittish, which is what happens when the tires are overinflated. It's something that at times when tires are being fitted does happen because they want the tire to pop at the rim and lock in, and for that they're overinflated. But after that, they also have to be adjusted down. Was this done or not? It's an easy fix. You have to just check the pressures. If not that, check the alignment, check whether the tires have been fitted properly, which means direction, inside, outside, all of that, right? Check that out. Make sure, because changing from one brand of tires to the other will not create such a dramatic difference. We have very good quality tires as an average benchmark, which means they are safe, they're predictable. There'll be difference in sound characteristics, grip characteristics, but basic functionalities like this should not come in question. Once you've tackled those things, and if you still feel that it's not feeling right, you should get this checked out by the tire shop that has installed it for you to make sure that they are okay, the tires themselves are okay, and ask them to test it out for you as well. Our next question is from Onto Details, and this is also going to be generally helpful. It's not just about the choices that he's facing. He's saying he has a 2024 Mahindra XUV700. Now, after that, his wife got a grand i10, and this is an automatic. Now, this is a car that they've kind of switched to. It's ended up becoming the default car that they're using. It's primarily used by his wife for city commutes, and he ends up using it for his weekend commutes. The XUV he specified was something that they use typically for weekend travels. But since the NIOS has come in, I'm guessing it's the NIOS, that they haven't really used the XUV all that much. And so he's wondering, should he just sell it? I know 2 years is a short span of time after which to sell a car. So there'll be the factors of how much the value is depreciated and things like that. But this is something to keep in mind. It will happen to you that you will have two vehicles in your garage and one of them stops being used. And at some point you'll wonder, do I need to keep it? And that's it. At that point, you should move on from that vehicle. You should sell it. Waiting with it is only going to mean you're maintaining it for longer. You're going to be paying insurance, getting it serviced, and not really use all that much. If you have a vehicle that you're emotionally attached to, then that question will not arise. You may feel bad that it's not being used, but you'll never think about, do I need to hold on to it? And that's the tipping point. So if you have already felt this, and the interesting thing is, to the post, Sushi0901 has also replied saying that, man, the depreciation is going to hurt, find somebody within the family to buy it and all of that, to which there's been a reply as well by Onto Details saying that, you know what, it's just going to be standing around, so it just doesn't feel like I should be holding on to it. So the answer is there. The confusion is only because you've already acquired it, but if you're not intending to use it, and if you're not emotionally attached to the vehicle, as is clearly the case here, move on. You can buy another car later. This money you can park, use it more effectively to let it grow. And that can help you out when you have to choose your next car. Our next question is from Subhranshu. And he's saying that they have a family car. It's a Honda WRV. He says he's a novice driver, but he's been using that car. And now he wants to get a car that's more satisfying for him, that's more enjoyable to drive. And he's really clear-cut about what his options are. His number one option that he's provided is the Citroen Basalt, or in that, the Citroen Aircross. So between the Citroens and a Renault. That's obviously the Duster. He's saying, which one should I pick? This would be a really hard call between the Aircross and the Duster for me. It would. Because between the Aircross and the Basalt, it's really clear. If you are saying, I want to drive, and that's the focus, then I would go towards the Aircross for sure. There's no two ways about it. The Basalt is a better rounded package, definitely good to drive, but a more family-friendly package. Between the Aircross and the Duster, I haven't still spent extensive time with the Duster after the first drive, but from what I remember driving it then, it was a hugely engaging car to drive and a competent all-rounder, very much like the Aircross. Where the advantage the Aircross has over the Duster is that in the backseat, it would be better than the Duster. The Duster's advantage over the Aircross is it's going to feel like a more pleasing car. It's going to feel like a more modern, updated car, and therefore more satisfying because of that. And to me, that will be the deciding factor. If I were picking between these two, yes, you want manuals. You get manuals on both. But if I'm picking between these two, that sense of occasion in the cabin of the Duster will be the tipping point for me and just make it more satisfying. And of course, knowing that Renault has been in India for long and has a wider service network will make it a more reassuring purchase as well. Our last question for this episode is from Rohit231046. I hope I got that right. And he is asking about dashcams. He's actually pondering what is the need for dashcams. He feels like it's an unnecessary extra. He feels like he already has an insurance on his car. He feels like he already has a phone to record stuff, but he feels like dashcams are an unnecessary extra that have been added on because people are primarily, I think, reading his post, it feels like people are using it for social content. I would equate a dashcam kind of, not exactly, but kind of like ABS. You don't need ABS every day. You're not going to be in tricky, slippery conditions every day. But when that moment arises, ABS will help. What ABS will do is save you from situations that could be much worse, far more complicated, far more harmful to you and to your vehicle. And the dashcam is kind of like that. It's like that safety net that is thrown under you. Because today our driving conditions have 100% become more chaotic, more unpredictable, with more unreasonableness on the road as well. So when it comes to situations that could flare up, a dashcam can help you calm things down and potentially save you from trouble, be it physical trouble, legal trouble, or just waste of time. So a dash cam today, for a few years ago, I would have said it's not necessary. But looking at the traffic scenario in the urban environment, especially on highways as well, it is a nice safety net to have, and something that I would look forward to having in my next car too. So if you're getting a new car, get the dash cam done right at the start. It's a small thing, but it is that when needed, it's there for you kind of safety net. And yes, your concern is, what if I was doing something wrong and the dash cam is recorded? Well, I guess in some ways, it's also there to remind you to drive better. So yeah, that's it for this episode of Ask MotorInc. If you have any more questions, you know where to head. That's motorinc.com. Share your queries there on Circles, and we'll be there to help you out.